Go.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Perrette, and today I will be presenting my interpersonal communications project for Liberty University 508. What is interpersonal communications? Stewart defines interpersonal communications as the type of communications that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. This means that there is a dialogue and not a monologue. Next slide. Identifying my overarching goal. My goal is to become a better listener, striving to reach my level 1 in my listening skills, to become a less defensive listener, and not to cut people off in conversations when there is a topic that I do not agree with. This means that I will take the time to listen to what the person is saying, let them finish their critique or criticism, and then I will enter my statement. Identifying my overarching goals continued. Burley Allen gives examples of becoming an empathetic listener. To avoid being critical and judgmental, listen to underlining meanings, timing for asking questions, and refrain from problem solving. This means that as listeners, we are to sit back and be conscious of what the speaker is saying and understand that sometimes they're not looking for an answer, but they just need someone to talk to. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation. In order to enlarge the conversation, we must implement meaning, choice, culture, identities, conversation, and nexting. Next slide. Behavioral blends. My Uniquely You report describes me as the expected S. S is passive, people-oriented, steady, stable, shy, servant, specialist, and security-oriented. Some of these I agree with, and some of these I don't. I don't see myself as shy, and I definitely don't see myself as passive. I am stable, and I am a specialist, and I am a servant. As ministers of Christ, we are all called to serve. Next slide. Behavioral blend continued. This is me, is my CIS. The mature CIS is classified as to make great leaders once improvement is made on their indecisiveness and lack of drive. CIS are also good with people, and we are not aggressive. We make tremendous teachers and trainers and prefer to be prepared before speaking to a large group. I do agree that we do make tremendous teachers and trainers, and that we are almost always want to be prepared before speaking before anyone, because our expectation is excellence. Next slide. My blend influences my conversation in the positive. My CIS made me more aware of how I respond to people, especially when there is criticism involved. I take time to listen and to respond instead of reacting before thinking. This means I take time to listen to what the person is saying, and I do not react off the bat. I sit back and I listen to it and I respond. And in my responding, this gives me and the other person a chance to let them know that I understand what they are saying. Next slide. My blend influences my conversation negative. I do not listen with open ears to the speaker, which sometimes causes me to miss the topic of conversation. When I do not give 100%, I sometimes become defensive and cut the speaker off, wanting to get my point across. And I am guilty of this, especially on topics that I am passionate about. So therefore, I must sit back and become a better listener. Next slide. Our noise pollution's internal. Burley Allen identifies internal distractions as things that people do internally to build barriers that prevent them from listening effectively. Worrying about your health, relationship problems, and bills are just some of the things that we deal with on a daily basis, which inhibits us from becoming better listeners and giving 100% to the speaker. Next slide. Our external noise pollutions are things around you that distract you from listening with our full potential. Loud noises, interruptions, and work and time pressures. These are some of the things that prohibit us from becoming better listeners externally. We all want to make sure that we do things correctly at work. We all want to make sure that what we are saying gets across, so we do not want to get interrupted as speakers. Next slide. Plan of action, using my overarching goal. My plan of action is to become a level 1 listener. To listen without becoming defensive, especially when it comes to critiquing or criticizing. Carbonell states how we respond to is also important. We must first think of how others are wired and what their type of personality is. Then we can respond to them more appropriately. So therefore, we must sit back and look at the person and listen to what they are saying and be prepared to respond to them correctly. Therefore, we won't come off making the wrong judgments and becoming judgmental. James 1:19-20. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. For wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen more and speak less, and therefore become better ministers, better speakers, better counselors. And we can go out and we can serve the people the way that He called us to do. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I pray that you have a very good day.